Welcome back everyone to the Libgdx development tutorials. In today's video, we'll be covering the camera modules. Let's get started. Now, Libgdx provides two types of cameras. First being the perspective camera and the orthographic camera. Well, now what is orthographic? Orthographic is a projection where everything is viewed through a 2D space. Like for example, Terraria uses an orthographic projection. If we go to the Libgdx page under the orthographic section, we can see a description on how to use it. We can see some basic principles that are very important to understand, such as move, rotate, zoom in and out, change viewport, project and unproject world coordinates to screen coordinates, as well as showing a code base for those who are beginners to understand it very easily. Another important thing about the orthographic camera is that it does not include a scale factor, meaning that you can only scale objects by their size in a 2D environments. Alright, here we are in IntelliJ. What we're going to make a new module called camera. Inside the camera module, we're going to make a new Java class called Orthographic. Inside the Orthographic class, we're going to implement the application listener interface. Hold down Alt, hit Enter, implement all methods. And then at the top of the Orthographic class, we're going to make a new orthographic camera. We're going to private orthographic camera. Inside the create method, we're going to initialize it. We're going to do camera equals new orthographic camera. And then we're going to middle mouse button click on the camera constructor. And as we can see, there are two constructors included with this class. The first constructor setting the near plane to 0. The second constructor taking in two parameters with floats, viewport width and height, which sets the viewport width and height. We also have the update method, which is very important for updating the camera so it can update the viewport. It also extends the camera, which is more information about 2D and 3D camera. As you can see, it's an abstract class. Alright, if we go back to the orthographic class, we're going to create two new variables called the viewport width and height. So we're going to do private float viewport width. We're going to make this equal to 100. And then we're going to do private float for the height equals to 100. So this right here is going to be the width and height for the aspect ratio. And then we're going to go down in the create method and we're going to initialize two variables. We're going to do the width, which equals to gdx.graphics.getWidth. And then we're going to do the height, which equals to gdx.graphics.getHeight. So back to the orthographic camera constructor, we're going to plug in the viewport width. And the second part, we're going to be the viewport height multiplied by the height divided by the width. Alright, this right here will update the screen size for the height. Alright, so next we're going to do camera.setPosition. Set it to 0, 0. And then we're going to do camera.update to update our camera. If we go down to the resize method, we're going to update our viewport when the screen gets resized. So we're going to do camera.viewport width equals to viewport width, and we're going to do camera.viewport height equals to viewport height multiplied by the new height divided by the new width. And then we're going to do camera.update to update our resize. Alright, so for the sprite batch, we need to set the projection matrix for rendering our scene and the settings that we applied for the orthographic camera. So what we're going to do, we're going to do batch.setProjectionMatrix, and we're going to do camera.combined. This right here is going to combine the projection and the view matrix so that way we can see the results of the viewport width and the viewport height for our scene. So and then we're going to do batch.begin, and then we're going to do batch.draw, pass in our texture, we're going to do 0, 0, right in the center, and we're going to do batch.end. So now if we run the program, we should see our texture. Alright, there it is at the center of our screen, and as you can see, if I resize the window, the texture gets bigger, so it resizes to the correct dimensions as what we just did for the aspect ratio. So basically the orthographic camera is like a fancier way for managing your 2D scenes. Now it's time for the perspective camera. So in Libgdx, the perspective camera is used for 3D scenes. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to camera. We're going to create a new Java class, call it perspective. Inside the perspective class, we're going to implement the application listener. Implement all the methods, and we're going to create a new camera, which is going to be the perspective camera. We'll call this camera. And we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do first person camera controller. We'll call this controller. And then we're going to do, inside the create method, we're going to initialize the camera, this new perspective camera. And then we're going to pass in our field of view. And then we're going to do gdx.graphics.getWidth and then gdx.graphics.getHeight. So if we mid a mouse button click on the perspective camera, we can see the default constructor takes in no parameters, but there's a second constructor that takes in 3. First being the field of view, the viewport width and viewport height, just explaining the orthographic camera. So the field of view is the angle in degrees that you are viewing through into the 3D viewport. And again, it has the update, and there's not much to it except that it extends the camera class. We're going to implement the properties for the perspective camera. So first being the position on where we want the camera to be at in the 3D scene. So we're going to do camera.position.set. We're going to do 0, 0, 0, the origin. And then we're going to do camera.set the near plane shown in the image. And then we're going to set this to 0.1. This right here is the view on how close up to the camera. And then we're going to set the far plane. And we're going to set it to 1000. This is how far away you can see things. And we're going to do camera.update to apply the settings. And then we're going to initialize the first person controller. We're going to do controller equals new first person controller. And we're going to do camera pass into the parameters. And then we're going to do gdx.input.set input processor controller. And then we're going to do controller.update. Alright, now we're going to resize our scene. We're going to do camera.viewport width equals to width. And then we're going to do camera.viewport height equals to height. And then we're going to update our camera to apply the settings. And then we're going to update our controller as well. Alright, now in the render method, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do gl.glClear. Make sure you implement the static class. And then we're going to do gl20.glColorBufferBit or gl20.glDefBufferBit. So this right here is going to clear the def buffer and the color buffer. So we're going to go render a cube, but I'm going to skip ahead until I get everything set up. Alright, now in the render method, we're going to update the camera first. We're going to do camera.update and then we're going to update the controller. Alright, for the model batch, we're going to do batch.begin. We're going to pass in the camera, and we're going to do batch.render, and we're going to pass in the model instance that we just created of the cube. And then we're going to do batch.end. Again, if you don't know what this code is, I will explain this in a later video about more in-depth for 3D graphics and about on how to render using a model batch. For now, it's just for a test for the perspective camera. Alright, if we run the program, we should see a cube. Alrighty, there we go. A 3D cube. As you can see, we just added a third dimension to our scene. There we go. Alright everyone, that wraps up everything for this video. I hope you find this video very fascinating and learning something more about perspective and orthographic cameras. Have a good day.